Good evening, book lovers and comic fanatics alike. I'm Brandon, and this is Brandon's Book Club, I suppose. Tonight, we're going to talk about some DC. Got The Flash right here, Rogue War. Very interesting read. I personally never grew up watching The Flash a whole lot. Well, take that back. I did watch Justice League, did not read the comic books a whole lot. Luckily, though, I now have ample time to go through some treasures that I might have missed. It's an all-out war. It's basically villains versus villains. A trickster, an Iceman, a fire guy, a Pied Piper, who they enjoy making comments about his sexual preferences, which I can only assume is children because of the Pied Piper's history. Very disturbing, but nonetheless, it's very good read. You get to learn about the new Captain Boomerang after his father dies, and apparently he has some sort of super speed tricks. You really should check out this book. It's more along the lines of the villains versus the villains, and Flash is just there on the sidelines. But he does have a little cameo, and it is his book series after all. We have a book that I read over 9 years ago and had to go through again just because I enjoyed it so much back then. And that is DC's Kingdom Come. I guess the superheroes become disenfranchised with the future that they wrought upon themselves. Metahumans are rampantly becoming the #1 population in this world. Everyone all of a sudden started having superpowers. What more can you really say? Like, it's basically saying it's a gene. You know, they're mutants. I digress. Very good read. I highly recommend it. It is illustrated by Alex Ross and Mark Waid. It basically, I don't know if you've ever read or seen the Justice League episodes that is titled the Injustice League, where the superheroes become a totalitarian society. They basically become the government themselves. And Superman, he comes out of this isolation of literally he's building a barn with nails, but he's using his finger as the hammer. And he comes out of isolation and sees the future that it has become, and is just like, fuck, I gotta do something. It is totally fucked up out there. Metahumans are fighting metahumans. Superman gets the League back together, and they go and they start suppressing everyone and locking them up in a gulag. Yeah. Not a good place to be. I highly recommend picking this up. I'm actually probably going to have to buy my own copy. It doesn't belong to me, but it is very good. Moving on, I have my current reads I'm currently working on under DC still, and that is the Batman Knightfall series. I should hope that you're familiar with Bane and Batman's history. After all, he does break Batman's back. In fact, this one is the first one is actually titled Broken Bat, and here you have Bane sneaking up on Batman. Story is written by Doug Monique and Chuck Dixon, and it is illustrated and penciled by many different artists and inkers, I suppose they're called. I can't really go too much details on this just yet because I haven't gotten very far. Basically, it starts off with Batman standing over a dead body going, no weapons, bones broken everywhere, bruises all over his body. Bang! So here's a book that I highly recommend reading. It's the only zombie book in the entire history that I know of Star Wars currently. So it's written by Joe Schraber, and it's called Star Wars Death Troopers, and it takes place on a derelict Star Destroyer between, I guess they were in the middle of being transported to a prison, and they broke down in deep space, and they ended up finding the Star Destroyer, and they go, hey, they're not blasting us out of space. What's up with that? They go on board and find something seriously wrong. There's no lights on, there's oxygen, but no one's around. And I don't know if you know anything about engineering, but it takes quite a bit of people actually to run anything huge. Starts off slow and picks up rather quickly, and I highly recommend reading this if you're a zombie fan. I highly recommend reading this if you like Star Wars. This is some serious shit here. So, moving on to Marvel here. Gotta love some malt liquor. The Impossible Man. It's basically about this, it's a collection of different story arcs that Impossible Man has appeared in, starting with Fantastic Four. And he's a unique alien species that just can pop up anywhere. Despite being considered a race, there's actually only one of them, and they all share the same brain, same knowledge. So they are basically the Borg, just with super magical interdimensional powers. He can copy anyone, he could be any power. He could do anything, except for make himself anything other than green. He's kind of classified as a villain, but I wouldn't really call him a villain, as more of unwelcome and unexpected house guests. I mean, he just pops up and decides to fuck with you all day until he's bored and goes on his way. Moving on, we have a book that I really recommend everyone should read. And if you enjoyed Thor Ragnarok and wondered, how the fuck did Hulk get on that planet? Then you need to pick up Planet Hulk. It is illustrated and colored by a whole bunch of people. I'm not going to get into the names. This is what made Moesly love the Hulk. Mind you, he's a big superhero fan of all shapes and sizes, but he didn't truly love the Hulk until he saw Hulk for Hulk. And I have to agree with him. There's this point in here where Bruce Banner starts to like come out of the Hulk's subconscious. He's like, huh? Where am I? And the Hulk is like, puny man back inside. It's Hulk's turn now. And really, this, beyond Hulk smash, this is where you really see Hulk come into his own and become a superhero all to his own self, not being some alter ego of a nerd scientist. It is basically Gladiator story retold in space. And in fact, thinking about how it actually starts out, Hulk really needs to find better friends. His friends are dicks. They actually launched him off into space and were sending him to a isolated planet because the Hulk is just too much for them to handle. So there's a little collateral damage because Hulk couldn't get chili on his freaking chili dog. I mean, come on. The guy deserves to have a bad day just because he wrecks a state or two. He needs to find some new friends, and luckily, after he smashes the guidance system on his spaceship, he slips through a portal in the middle of space and lands up on this planet that I have no idea what the planet's name is at this moment, but I do know its new name after Big Green gets here, and that's Planet Hulk. So, if you want to see what I mean, you gotta pick up Planet Hulk. That's Endgame. My friends, we've talked a lot about Marvel, we talked some about DC, and we talked some about Star Wars. I hope that I'll have more for you later, and catch you next time.